it is my honor and privilege to welcome to the show yet again, because he's a friend of the show, rapper, writer, director. The owner of the co-founder of the Big Three, the one and only Ice Cube's in the house. What's up, Big Time? How are you, man?
All good, all good.
Man, first of all, I want to get it. Let me talk about the Big Three first. Talk to us about where the league is at this particular moment in time. How you feeling about the Big Three?
Feel great. You know, the league is always growing. It's our sixth season. We into our third week.
Right.
You know, we got a game out here in New York this Sunday at the Barclays. And it's growing. You know, we have a championship in London this year at the O2 Arena. And, you know, everybody's excited about the league. You know, it's actually, we've started off faster than ever before. And so we want to sustain it and grow it.
Remind our audience what sparked you and inspired you to start the league to begin with, because I think a lot of times when people see y'all just playing the summer league, playing stuff like that, they like what they're seeing and what have you, but they forget the real purpose of what you wanted to, the reason why you wanted to start this league to begin with.
I'm a fan, in the summer I usually hibernate because
Right.
the sports in the summer are not my cup of tea. But I saw Kobe score 60 points in his last game, and there was no way, nowhere I could pay to see him play again. And I had a problem with that. And I was thinking about other players I wanted to see who find themselves, you know, out of the NBA for whatever reason. And that was what sparked it, because I said it must be people around like me who want something cool in the summer. And, you know, we finish after the finals, start before the NFL begin.
You're right.
And it's just a perfect, you know, place to put a 10-week, you know, every game counts season right in the middle of it.
How receptive has the basketball community been to the Big Three in your estimation? I'm talking about players, I'm talking about league folks, everybody, people who just love the game of basketball. What kind of things have they said to you about the Big Three?
I mean, they love it. You know, if you look at the players that's come through the league, from Allen Iverson and Chauncey Billups to, you know, Mari Stoudemire, you know, players have come through the league and had a ball playing in games, and GMs, owners, you know, everybody pretty much loved the Big Three.
Got you. Let me transition, if you don't mind, because I got Cube in the house, and I know you know your basketball, and you know you're a Lakers fan, and I got to admit, they surprised me. I mean, they went to the conference finals. I didn't expect that. I was happy about it because basketball just matters more when the Lakers are relevant, okay? But I want to know, first of all, how did you feel about what you saw from the Lakers this year, and how do you feel about the offseason they've had in retaining Hachimura, retaining Austin Reeves, picking up Gabe Vincent from the Miami Heat, of course, re-signing D'Angelo Russell? That's a different subject, $37 million, 2 years, ain't that expensive, but I was shocked that they kept him, but that's cool, it's all right. How are you feeling about your Los Angeles Lakers right now, based on everything you've seen?
They look great. Having that trade, you know, where they traded in the middle of the season, they got a lot of pieces that young, you know, players that can really compete in the West. I think the Lakers, you know, really need a couple more centers. You know, we need, you know, big players, because when the Lakers won the championship, you know, they had Dwight, they had JaVale McGee.
And Anthony Davis.
Yeah, Anthony Davis. You know, I think Anthony Davis is more comfortable playing power forward. You know, get a big body, the bang behind him, like it was during the championship years, because, you know, the Joker is big, and you can't expect Anthony Davis to bump up against the Joker for 7 games and come out, you know, on top of that.
I know you were happy with what you saw, but what I want to know is the level. I mean, you're going to always be a Lakers fan, and I get that, but I want you to articulate for the audience out there, on behalf of Laker Nation, what was your mindset before that trade when they were a below-average team? I mean, my man Snoop went AWOL. I mean, he went AWOL because he was like, yo, Stephen A., I'm scared of what I'm going to say. I'm so frustrated I can't. I mean, he was losing his mind. Where were you in terms of your disgust, fury, or whatever word is appropriate at the Los Angeles Lakers before they made that trade that ultimately acquired Hachimura, and then after that, Beasley and Vanderbilt and D'Angelo Russell. Where was your mindset about the Lakers?
Well, I'm cautious when the Lakers bring in too many superstars at the same time. That's
You always have been that way.
Yeah, it didn't work with Karl Malone. I think they brought in
Gary Payton
at the same time. Even though Shaq was hurt, Kobe was hurt, Karl Malone was hurt. What I mean? Some games it was just Gary Payton out there.
That's right.
So, it kind of happened again. We brought in, kind of too many big names at the same time, and it doesn't really work. So I like the Lakers when they grab one big name at a time, fit them in, and keep stacking like that. That usually brings championship.
So you feel that way about the Lakers, or do you feel that way overall? And I only ask you that question because there's a big three that has been assembled in Phoenix. Bradley Beal has joined Devin Booker and the one and only KD, Kevin Durant. And there's a lot of people that's looking at the Phoenix Suns. And even though Denver's the reigning defending NBA champions, they thinking the Phoenix Suns going to make some noise because of those three brothers they got up in there now. To that you say what?
I still think they small. They small where they need to be big. And so, I don't know if that combination gonna bring a championship without adding another piece. Like I said, the Joker is big. And Aaron Gordon is big. And it's the point guard.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Devin Booker.
They're all big.
Is Dwight Howard better than prime Nikola Jokic?
Stay off the weed. Dwight Howard. I'm not accusing him of using weed, although it's legal in many states in this day and age. I'm simply using that metaphorically to make my point. Dwight Howard, stop. Stop, bro. And you're talking to a Dwight Howard fan. Dwight Howard, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, was definitely 5-time All-Defensive Team, champion in 2020, 2-time NBA blocks champion, 5-time rebounding champion. No shade on Dwight Howard in terms of how legitimate of a bona fide player and star that he was, But that was defensively, with blocking shots and rebounding. To say that you couldn't shine Jokic's shoes as an offensive player would be an insult to Jokic. It's worse than that. You weren't in his class. You had no post game, You had a jump hook. You were very limited. You had no other moves, You couldn't shoot the basketball. You rebounded, you dunked. You had a spin move, you got behind the defense, you caught alley-oop dunks. That's what you were. It's not Jokic's fault that you didn't score on threes. You couldn't shoot them. Jokic could. Dwight Howard, I'm looking at the number. I want to make sure my number is right here. In terms of threes, Dwight Howard made 22 threes in his career. Jokic now stands at 593. Dwight Howard has averaged over 20 points a game 4 times in his career. Jokic has averaged 20 points a game the last 3 years and 4 the last 5. Jokic is prolific offensively, inside and out, post game, mid-range game, outside game, Not to mention the fact that his passing ability, 25 points, 7 assists, only 2 seasons in NBA history where a center has averaged those statistics. Both of them were Jokic. Stop. When you say stuff like that, Dwight Howard, people think you should be drug tested. People think you should be drug tested. You should stop. You should stop at, I was a great defensive player. I was very formidable. I was good enough to lead the Orlando Magic to a championship and good enough to help the Lakers win a championship in the bubble. Don't go there with Jokic. You lost already.
Well, only certain people would ask that he would get drug tested, and I'm not one of them. Now, am I taking Dwight over Jokic? No, I'm not. but I'm not about to sit up here and act like it was a landslide or it's a landslide when you talk about a Dwight in this prime. Listen for a second. When you talk about a Dwight Howard in his prime, back then in the league where guys wasn't averaging 30, we had I believe it was 5 or 6 guys this season that averaged 30. And you talk about on numerous occasions how the league has gotten soft over the past 5 or 6 years. You and I, since I've been working at the network, we have debated plenty of times about the league being too soft. Dwight Howard was in a time where when you was getting 20 and 10, you was putting in work. And he was doing that with the Orlando Magic. And so when I think about a prime Dwight, teams were gearing up in the Eastern Conference to stack the deck at the center position because you knew you had to go against a Dwight Howard. Think about when they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers. He had to go against a Andrew Bynum and a Paul Gasol in the NBA Finals. Dwight Howard at one point was that dude in the NBA. And a lot of people was actually putting him on the pedestal of being the best player in the league. So I'm not taking him over Jokic, but I'm not about to sit up here and say he needs to be drug tested when I know how dominant he was when he had on the Orlando Magic jersey.
Okay. There's truth to what both of you are saying. And I think we all agree that you don't take Dwight Howard over Nikola Jokic. But Stephen A., there is some truth to the numbers that he put up. You rattled off the accolades defensively. 20 and 14, or I think was his best scoring and rebounding years, and he did that twice over the course of his career. I do remember how dominant Dwight Howard was, but I think the problem with this discussion is exactly how you started your response, Perk. The game has changed so significantly. Because if you wanted to go pound for pound and these two had to guard one another some kind of way, Dwight Howard's a terrific defender. He still would have problems with Nikola Jokic. So, yes, I'm absolutely taking Nikola Jokic over Dwight Howard, but the last thing that Dwight said in that statement is what anybody that makes it to being a professional athlete would do. They're going to take themselves, and that's just fine.
Stop. See, this is where I get annoyed, okay? Nikola Jokic is home minding his business, and Dwight Howard brings up his name. Y'all know good and damn well Dwight Howard was talking about offense. We know that Jokic ain't no great defensive player. Dwight Howard is one of the elite defensive big men to have ever played the game of basketball. We know this. So why would you bring up Jokic? Because he's talking about offense. He cannot shine Jokic's shoes offensively.
Agreed.
And y'all know that. That's what he was talking about, y'all. Come on, y'all. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.